Welcome back, everyone, and thank you for logging into this very exciting and important session, a TED-style talk on creating ecosystems to drive fintech and innovation, lessons from Malaysia. We are joined by none other than Ms. Ruslana Binti Ramli, Director, Fintech and Islamic Digital Economy, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation. Ruslana's talk will be followed by Ms. Priyanka Chopra, Manager, Partner, Seed Investing, CIIE.co. But before that, I would request Ruslana to please take the floor.
Okay, so salam sejahtera and a warm welcome to all participants that have dialed in from across the globe. My name is Rushina Ramli and I act as one of the guardians for Malaysia's Islamic digital economy. I'm currently attached to Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC for short, which is one of the front runners in facilitating Malaysia's transformation to become more digitally connected, and also bringing more change with regards to our economic sectors as we embarked on our journey to embrace the new technology and become a front runner in helping and facilitating our tech and fintech companies to become global champions. So before I begin my presentation, allow me to set the stage. Malaysia is slowly becoming a commercialization hotbed for tech and fintech companies, and the explosion of ideas for digital adoption, improving financial literacy, helping the needy and also businesses to pivot to technology for survival has turned the tide on the pandemic. And we see this ripple effect worldwide, and headlines carrying news of the potential impact that fintech can bring to the world and driving equitable solutions for the revival of economies is becoming one of the key headlines of or discussions that governments are entering into with key technology enablers. And amazingly, in MDEC, it all started with simple ideas to help problem statements, the daily challenges of people during the pandemic, and how it has become, our daily lives as we embrace this COVID life. And we see the changes, especially towards the millennials, because they are the ones who are the most affected by this pandemic in terms of how they school, how they socially interact with their friends and teachers, shopping, lifestyle. So the future generations will be the first in terms of embracing this change, and we as leaders of this revolutionary change are here to facilitate that process in the hopes that more opportunities will be given to commercialization of potentially new ideas, and also fintech coming to the fore in becoming a core driver for economic sectors. At that note, I'd like to play this video to illustrate my storytelling. Organizers, can you please play the video?
This is Katja. She owns a small business selling local kueh. She hopes to set aside some money for her children's future education needs, while growing her retirement savings through investments. To realize her goal, Katja is now looking for a suitable investment platform that is affordable and easy to use. Next, we have Raj. Raj is a food delivery rider. Being in a high-risk job, Raj is looking for an insurance plan that offers protection coverage and offers security in times of rainy days for him and his family. Aseng, on the other hand, owns a motorcycle workshop. He is currently looking for alternative financing options to expand his workshop after having his loan application declined by multiple financial institutions. Unfortunately, all of them had limited access and knowledge on how to get the financial services they need.
So if you can see from the video clip that I just played, so these are some of the problem statements that are currently happening in Malaysia, and I'm sure it's also happening across the globe as well. So you have the lady Katja, looking for potential investments, and she doesn't know where to go, right? And then you have the second caricature of Raj, who needs to have insurance because he's a Grab driver, and he's not sure, the type of insurance with regards to the risk of his daily activities. And then the final one is your typical, man on the street, micro SMEs who have yet to embark on digital adoption and requires financing. And most of these people are not eligible for or do not have a track record with regards to banking, and they find it really, really hard. So what are the potential answers or fintech solutions that they can go to? So organizers, if I could just get some engagement from my participants, if they could answer, some of the questions, and then I'll pause there while I prepare my presentation slides. And I'll circle back to you again on the potential questions that could, when I talk about ideas, what are potential ideas that could facilitate these individuals in support of their daily needs. Okay, so I'll be sharing my slides now. Okay. Can everybody see my slides? If somebody can just give a thumbs up. Okay, great. So while I pause there for you to answer the questions that I just asked on the potential fintech, it can be, any solutions that you are already currently enjoying in your respective countries, and we can share, what are the similarities of the fintech players that's actually taking shape in Malaysia and also making a change, global changes worldwide. So allow me to start my presentation. So at the precipice of change, MDAC being the beacons of one of the frontrunners as government agencies in helping the nation revolutionize. So, we started off as an agriculture company, and we're now moving, and we're quite heavy with regards to manufacturing. When you look at our economic sector segments. And moving forward, digital will be the key gel or connector with regards to all the various sectors. And as MDAC engage with corporates, with institutions, with other government agencies, everyone is having their own digital adoption. Almost every corporate that I meet have already established a transformation unit with regards to their each digital charter. And because of that, the blueprint, the Malaysia blueprint with regards to our digital roadmap moving forward that was released last year, will see a bigger contribution of the digital economy to Malaysia's total GDP. So from 19.1%, which representation here is 289 billion ringgit. We hope to increase that to close to about 23% by 2025. And how are we going to do this is commercialization of existing tech and fintech companies. And you've probably heard quite a number of some of the champions within the respective sectors that they operate in the news. And I'll share that with you shortly as I move through my presentation. Okay, so I'm happy to share that Malaysia is one of the world's most digitally connected societies. If you see the benchmarks that I've shared, and this came 2021 late statistics, compared to the average world population urbanization, we've hit 77%. And we've got a very high penetration rate. I'm sure, even India also, almost everybody's carrying 2 phones and not just one. So Malaysia has about 88% versus worldwide's average of 67. internet penetration of 89, and also we're very socially active people. You know, my children no longer read the newspaper like how I used to. They download all the news, everything from social media. And this is the new future. This is, you know, what would be the future generations with regards to just not just how they view contents with their daily lives and how they embark on this journey, especially due to the pandemic. You have accelerated in terms of the growth of this space even more. If I could circle back to the questions that I asked. So from the audience, yeah, so if I can just ask the organizers, has there been any feedback with regards to the questions that I asked in terms of the potential fintech players or fintech platforms that could have these entities?
I just said not yet.
None? Maybe I could give a hint. So in Malaysia, you know, we have like that there is a few data aggregators. Yeah. So data aggregator, what they do is they extract information from various policy platforms, from all the insurance and also telephone networks, and pull them together based on defined parameters of what the user needs. You know, we have policy trees, we have GoBear. And through this comparison, they can then choose or even think, okay, how much premium would I be eligible? So if based on my cash flows, I'm comfortable to pay, say 200 ringgit a month, you know, then automatically then they will sort the policies and also even unique value propositions in terms of which one can offer you the best rate. So that's a solution for the Raj driver. And then when you talk about, you know, microfinance, Malaysia, we have embarked on a lot of platforms in regards to digitalization in terms of the mom and pops. So especially during the pandemic, a lot of people were hit with their daily income. Some lost their jobs. So a lot of them had to pivot to technology. And, you know, when I speak to you know, my friendly neighborhood lady who sells me nasi lemak, which is a Malaysia delicacies in the morning that we enjoy, she doesn't even know how to even begin. So we have a fintech player who has embarked on the journey, and his focus is just solely to facilitate micro SMEs in helping this lady to digitize. So how much, you know, her raw materials and how much other information that she can manage in terms of her cash flows. And once all that data is collected on this platform, then you can then run scoring analysis, and that then goes to our peer-to-peer fintech players who can then offer solutions, because then they would have a track record in terms of how much money has she received, in terms of maybe her utility bills that she pays for water and electricity. So all those unbanked individuals now have alternative options for them to go to. So on that note, we have now in Malaysia, sorry, let me just close this chat box. Oops. Sorry. Give me 1 second. It's not closing. Okay. So on that note, Malaysia has got 233 fintech companies in these various segments that you see. So under e-payments alone, we've got 50 players. Under e-wallets, we've got 38. And then, you know, it goes down the blockchain, crowdfunding, lending. So like I said earlier in my early speech, you know, Malaysia is fast becoming a commercialization hotbed for tech and fintech players. And we see this boom with a lot of new incumbents, and we're facilitating this process through accelerators, through hackathons, through our engagements. And with MDEC, we run many programs, you know, all across the various ecosystem, and targeting universities, working with researchers in facilitating potential problem statements. So there are various departments within them that looks at specific sectors, because it's a huge market and there's so many things that we can facilitate and as an ecosystem builder, MDEC's key role is to connect the dots with regards to what are the needs of the industry players. And these are the supply chain that we have within MDEC in support of facilitating products and services that could address these problem statements that were probably, inherent within the industry for more than a decade, but they're not sure on how to overcome this. So we're extremely pleased to be part of this journey, so much so that we have now 3 unicorns, them being AirAsia, Kasam, and also E.co Group, and there's a few more in the pipeline. So one of the major KPIs that we hope to achieve in the coming years for 2022 is to have more industry champions, unicorns, provide jobs, 50,000 jobs, attract and land and expand opportunities for other fintech players to also be part of this landscape. So, and what were the lessons learned? We've had this journey from the start of the regulatory sandbox that was issued in 2016, and this is the landscape that have taken us to where we are today. So, starting back pre-2010, the establishment of MDEC way back in 1996, where we were spearheaded Malaysia's super corridor status in facilitating the start of this technology adoption. Creation of equity and also venture capitalists, because they are the ones who would have that risk to absorb for startups and also tech companies, and improving the landscape with regards to grants and schemes. Another company that you may have heard from Malaysia is called Malaysia Technology Development Corp, that specifically looks at facilitating entrepreneurs in tech companies. So each of these government agencies that were set up way back in the 1990s were created as the cornerstones or the pillars in facilitating Malaysia's fintech journey. So the next intermediate stage is where we started Magic. So Magic is one of the startups. They have now changed their name to called Meranti, which is a merger between Technology Park Malaysia, in further enhancing the ecosystem for new startups. And we had back in 2016, which is the issuance of the regulatory sandbox, there was a dedicated committee under Bank Negara that was set up called Financial Technology Enabler Group, which kickstarted the revolutionary change and also the mindset for VCs and institutional companies to also look at, facilitating capital into the economy, in spurring new ideas, new solutions. I like to think that Malaysia now, since 2016, we've now come to developing stage, where we see more market liberalization upgrades the overall fintech landscape. And I've shared earlier, we've got more than 250 companies in the various segments serving different markets and solutions moving forward. And one of the key things that I like to highlight was the convergence of Malaysia's position as a global Islamic finance center. And you can see a lot more launches for Islamic capital markets and also the Islamic digital economy being one of the front runners in making Malaysia a key center or hub to reckon with regards to fintech. So as we move forward, and I've seen this, as we engage with regulators, with Bank Negara, and we work very, very closely with them. Like I said here, the FICRA is together with the Securities Commission, and I'll share another accelerator that we're working with them in my next slide. So as we move forward, the next step is to have this progressive stance or stewardship from our regulators. Our digital token guidelines was issued in October 2020, and they've approved 5 tokens, which is Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ripple, and also Ethereum. Malaysia still does not accept them as a legal tender, but we allow them as an investment. So we have investment platforms, and there are various initial exchange offerings platforms that has already been launched in Malaysia. And the next big wave that's coming is the digital banks. So there are 5 licenses that's up for grabs. It will be a mix between conventional and also Islamic banks. And there will be, I think, the news will come out first week of January 2022 on who will be the final winners. And once we embark on this new journey, it will be a revolutionary change with regards to our digital banking and how businesses and economics are moving forward in terms of the policies, the risk, the regulatory capital. And it's an amazing journey. And I'm so pleased to be part of the storytelling to create that next chapter for Malaysia's digital transformation. Okay, and on that note, so I'm pleased to share that based on the report that MDAC sponsored last year, called the Global Islamic Fintech Report 2021 by Dina Standards, we are ranked #1. Ahead of Saudi Arabia, UAE, Indonesia, and also United Kingdom. If we were to look, agnostically from the FinTech Country Reports 2020, we've moved up the ranks, 11 ranks up to 36. And I hope through our initiatives, we will continue to move up the ladder and hopefully become one of the top 5 in the world. Okay, so as you can see from the earlier global ranking, so everybody is jostling to be #1 for the fintech players. So where Malaysia's feather in the cap is our global positioning for our Islamic economy. And as you can see from this landscape, our positioning with regards to the various financial sectors. So you can see the presence of Islamic finance almost in every segment of our financial landscape. So if you're looking at the Islamic capital market, sukuk issuance, we continue to be the #1 in the world, the global leader, because of the various incentives that the government has given and the sustainable pipeline that has been created because of the ecosystem that the government of Malaysia has embarked on, thanks to the various master plans that have been put in way back in the 1990s. So as we move forward, I'm pleased to share that, one of the key core pillars that I will be embarking on for 2022 is to engage with various fintech economies or fintech communities from across the world. So, I'll be more than happy to speak to banks, to fintech players that are in the audience, venture capitals, who would be interested to come to Malaysia, because we do have visas, incentives, we do have, we facilitate a fast route in terms of facilitating companies to want to expand in market access, and vice versa. There would be fintech players who would be interested to penetrate your market. So I'm happy to engage with your fintech associations and other government agencies who will want to facilitate this process for us. And as we grow together as communities, I think we stand stronger, and I hope there would be a lot of mutual cooperations and opportunities that we can embark on together. Okay, so like I said, one of the key initiatives or collaborations that I could drum down would be in terms of core lessons for Malaysia would be 3 things. The top-down approach that the government of Malaysia has embarked on, from the government embarking on specific initiatives, roadmaps, blueprints, in facilitating on what the stake players should do. That's one. Second would be a cohesive collaboration within the public sector, such as MDAC. I mentioned earlier, Malaysia Technology Development Corporation. You have the likes of also the private sectors coming in, working together with us, Axiatas, your Tenaga in Malaysia, all these big giants of corporates who have embarked on their own digital journeys, working together with public sectors in facilitating this thriving environment for new fintech and tech players to come to the fore. And the other third initiatives would be regulatory progress stewardship that I talked about, and the regulatory progressive stewardship, one of the key things is this fintech booster, which is a key collaboration between MDEC and Bank Negara of Malaysia. So what this platform provides is a one-stop center. So anybody from across the world who wants to provide or enter into Malaysia, you can come to this platform. You can just key in Fintech Booster. It will take you to a landing page where you just fill in your details, and then we will then facilitate the process in terms of the various charters. So based on the questionnaire that we ran way back in 2 years ago, this Fintech Booster was then launched in August 2020 to cater to the key challenges that tech players or fintech players tend to address. And that starts with legal and compliance. The second pillar is business model, and then technology and infrastructure. So under legal and compliance, this was launched late last year. We were successful to secure on a pro bono basis one-on-one discussions to allow tech players to engage with 11 firm companies, legal firms, and Sharia advisors. So we have potential fintech players, Islamic fintech players from Turkey, from across the world, from GCC, who's not sure on the Sharia compliance, because we may adopt different variation with regards to the Sharia governance within Malaysia. So this engagement, will facilitate that process for them. And I'm pleased to share that, as at July last year, we've been successful to complete more than 20 public sessions and 35 clinics. And we're hoping that together with Bank Negara, the My Fintech Week will be launched first week of 2022. The business model, which would be a collaboration of private sectors coming in to facilitate this process, the likes of Visas, the likes of Huawei, who want to partner with us in running accelerators programs or any other initiatives would then fall under this business model. Okay. Other initiatives that MDEC has facilitated specifically for our Islamic Digital Economy Charter was, I mentioned this earlier, the FIKRA Accelerator. So this was done with Securities Commission of Malaysia, and this was launched in July 2021. They were successful to attract more than 100 applicants, local and also globally. And to date, as of end October, they've shortlisted 7 new fintech players of various products and services, and I'm so excited for them to come in and also provide services and add up to in terms of the pool that MDEC can provide as we engage with the various fintech communities from across the globe, and hopefully be able to support their growth. So the next initiative that MDEC was part of was the iConnect Fintech in Islamic Finance. So the first time ever, this is a core collaboration between the government. The government gave the grants under 2 ministries called Academy Science Malaysia and also MOSTI, which is in charge of our Technology and Information Ministry, a 4 million matching grant to potential tech players to address 2 core problem statements. One with regards to social finance, and also the other one was the digitalization of Islamic finance solutions. So they were successful to attract close to about 40 applicants. And MDEC was one of the founding members, and as part of the judging ceremony, which I personally embarked on, it has been phenomenal in terms of the solutions that have come on. And we hope that through this engagement, we will provide a thriving ecosystem for other players to also facilitate this process. The other one, or the most recent one that was just launched 2 weeks ago, is the RAIF. RAIF stands for the Royal Award in Islamic Finance. So this is a once every 2 years awards. But this time for 2021, they also launched the Impact Challenge. So this syncs together with Malaysia's initiative for sustainability development goals. So a lot of the problem statements are with regards to social finance, gender equality, how do we facilitate financial literacy, serving the needs of the needy, and supporting the unserved and the underserved. So as we move forward in 2022, you will see a lot more initiatives coming out from MDEC personally from my department and the Islamic Digital Economy. And, I again would like to implore, please reach out to MDAC if you are ever keen to support our mutual benefit collaboration opportunities. Okay. So before I end, I have one more a slide or video which I like to play, which also describes one of the initiatives of one of the fintech players. Remember how I touched upon on the microfinance? So this fintech players has been very successful over the last 2 years in gaining traction with regards to his user base, and it's called Mesin Kira. Organizers, over to you.
Saya Muhammad Nordin bin Muhammad Yusof, selaku owner daripada Sinatra Barbershop, lebih kurang dalam 8 tahun sebagai pengusaha barber. Cabaran yang dihadapi semasa COVID semuanya terbatas. Daripada dulu kita tak pakai sistem dan sekarang ni kita dah mendigitalkan kita punya perniagaan dengan sistem mesin kira bagi pengurusan kewangan, pengurusan barber, membuka kita lembaran baru. Daripada belumnya menjalankan digital dan kita dah mula mendigitalkan bisnes. Mesin kira digital ni juga saya dapat melihat perancangan kewangan saya daripada awal tahun dan sehingga hujung tahun. Berapa daripada sale, berapa daripada cost, semua dapat dilihat melalui desktop komputer lah. Dan untuk saya merancang perjalanan perniagaan saya berkembang lagi, saya akan dapat merancang melalui kewangan yang saya susun melalui sistem ini. Jadinya mungkin apa yang digital ni dapat membantu daripada penjimatan masa dan daripada saya punya susunan perniagaan untuk lebih berkembang dengan apa yang saya ada. Dulunya saya hanya membuat list daripada kertas saja. Hanya tulis daripada berapa mana nak masuk, sale berapa, potong hari ni. Jadi adanya mesin kira, kita telah mendigitalkan dan sistematik. Semuanya bersistem. Jadinya saya tahu berapa jualan saya, dah berapa potongan rambut daripada barber saya. Sebelum ni memang tak tersusun lah, banyak yang loss. Untuk pengusaha-pengusaha lain, bagi usahawan-usahawan muda, saya galakkan anda menggunakan mesin kira bagi mengurus kewangan, mengurus pelanggan. Jika dulu kita hanya menulis dan mengingat di kepala, jadi sekarang kita mendigitalkan bisnes kita. Jadi mesin kira adalah satu platform baru untuk usahawan-usahawan menggunakan untuk meningkatkan lagi mutu dan level bisnes anda.
Thank you. So, the video that I've just showed you is just one of the examples in terms of the industry champions that we have in Malaysia. And you can see all the customer had to do was just tap his card on that phone. And he mentioned, during the text, I'm sorry, it was in Bahasa Malaysia, my local language, but we did provide the English subtitles. Everything was in his brain. He used to write it down. So now everything he can digital, and this is the beauty of what technology can bring to players such as themselves, these individuals, the mom and pops, in facilitating their transformation. So historically, if they were only, making say 1,000 ringgit a month, but through this digitalization, they can have better market access, better management in terms of their stock taking, and hopefully they can improve from just 1,000 a month, they can grow it to 5,000 a month. And that is what that journey is. And our core charter for MDAC is to facilitate that process and facilitating the needy and businesses to pivot to technology for survival. So finally, I like to say that, bring those ideas to the fore. Leaders such as ourselves, and I'm sure, there are many in the crowd today from other government agencies who are facilitating this process. I strongly believe that apps that are created by the people, for the people, would have a greater impact. And hopefully that journey can be embarked together with Malaysia And I hope to be part of this discussion with a lot of communities in India and across the world. And on that note, I would like to thank again the organizers, and thank you so much for allowing me to be part of today's milestone events. Thank you, organizers.
Thanks, Rushina. We have a couple of audience questions
Okay.
in case you want to take them up.
Okay, so where do I go? I go to the chat box, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so how will I share? Okay, so the first question is, how has regulators engaged with local market private players to identify interventions that is suitable for fintech growth? Okay, so MDEC, we run one program called Corporate Innovation, which is headed by an Iron lady called Miss Yvonne. So what she does is she engaged with corporates who have specific problem statements. So it could be a toll road operator, it could be an agriculture company, it could be a property company, it could be any specific corporate who have problem statements that they would like to address. So based on that problem statements, then they would have specific interventions, whether they would want solutions to come from either blockchain, whether it's cloud, whether it's the Internet of Things. So we would have a supply of tech and fintech players who would then be given all these problem statements in support of the needs of this corporate. So it could be a one-to-one engagement where they would then have opportunities to meet up, say maybe the top 5 or top 10, depending on their needs. Alternatively, what MDEC does is to facilitate accelerator program. So currently we're running one with one insurance company called FWD for startups. So they have their own specific problem statements and they run specific teams. So it could be social finance in the first quarter, it could be insurtech in the second quarter, it could be takafotech in the next quarter. So it really depends, and that's how we attract the matching of needs of product services to potential industry partners. Okay, so that's the first question. And then second one is, what would be your recommendation for India, which is very diversified for demographic and languages? Okay, so we have embarked on okay, if I can share one up and coming animator, but he's more focused on the Islamic digital economy. You may have heard our famous Upin Ipin, that's under Digital Durian. So it's the same co-founders who set up another company called Durio. So they're running a new animator caricature called Hannah and Omar. That looks at children's education in terms of savings. You know, there is some element of Islamic education in there as well, and it has garnered global audience from across the world, whether it's in UK, whether it's in the States and all, and it's amazing. So for me, tech is agnostic. It doesn't really matter whether it's Islamic or conventional, because it serves the needs of the people at the end. But ultimately, if your choice is to want a specific Islamic finance product, then you would then choose the specific Islamic finance to suit that various needs. But agnostically, fintech is to address the needs of everybody, and it would be diversified in addressing demographics and also language. Okay, and then the final question is, how strong is customer protection framework as a fintech? How can we work as a team with regulators to ensure that data privacy, consent, Okay, so in Malaysia, Securities Commission governs a lot of our peer-to-peer crowdfunding, our digital assets and tokenizations. So what they do is, you know, as much as they want to be progressive in their guidelines, it's always a balancing act, you know, finding that sweet spot between regulations and also still pushing for innovation. So for Malaysia, we have a very proactive engagement. So whenever a new fintech player wants to provide a solution or a service to the market, they will always engage with the team in SE, and there would be the necessary guidelines, whether it's your EKYCs and also the Data Protection Act. as they embark on this journey to offer those products and solutions. And I would like to think that the team in MDEC are very, very proactive. They're super friendly, and they're more than open to speak to not just local Malaysians, but also foreign fintech players who want to enter into the Malaysian market. So I hope I've addressed all the questions, Priya.
Yes, thank you so much, Ruslina.
Okay. So thank you so much. So back to you, Priya, and I look forward to meeting with potential fintech players and government agencies in India. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Ruslina, for sharing these very important perspectives and learnings from Malaysia. And thank you for your kind invitation to all the fintechs to visit Malaysia. I'm sure you will be getting a lot of emails post this talk.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to.
We're also very excited to see how the digital banks play out at Malaysia, and we hope to hear how that story goes next year.
Okay, wonderful. I'm more than happy to be part of the conversation for 2022, and hopefully there'll be new things for me to share, and not the same slides. Hopefully new
That's
things.
right. I think a lot of exciting things await. With that, I would also now like to invite Miss Priyanka Chopra, Managing Partner Seed Investing, CIIE.co, to share her perspectives from India. Priyanka, over to you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
So hello everyone, I hope I'm audible. A very good morning to all of you. Wanted to start by thanking Ruslina for sharing her insights and lessons from Malaysia's incredible journey of growth in making finance accessible to all. Also want to take a moment to thank the organizers of the Inclusive FinTech India Summit for inviting me to share my perspectives on what has worked for our country and helping draw some parallels between the Malaysian and Indian FinTech stories. So as we all know, India is home to almost 1/5 of the world's population. Our scale and diversity rivals that of continents, not countries. We officially have 22 languages, but unofficially over 19,000 languages have been recognized as having 10,000 speakers or more. So there is incredible diversity, but also incredible disparity. About 45 million people still live in extreme poverty, and only about 1% of our population pays income taxes. So how do you digitally include such a diverse population? Affordable smartphones, one of the cheapest mobile data plans in the world, and the Digital India push by the government have all resulted in digital inclusion in India taking off in a significant way. While this doesn't quite, it's not quite the same as Malaysia in terms of penetration rates, but in terms of absolute numbers, India is the fastest growing smartphone market in the world. It has over 500 million smartphone users and over 800 million internet users. We are also incredibly young, right? About 50% of our population is below the age of 25. We expect to have 100 million people entering the workforce over the next 10 years. Basically, we are young, we are ambitious, and we are connected. So how do you meet the aspirations of this diverse, disparate, young population? By ensuring equitable and inclusive growth. So how did we go about setting the foundations for this inclusive and equitable growth? In 2010, we launched a digital identity for all called Aadhaar. Aadhaar was a 12-digit number, which was issued after proving uniqueness through biometrics. We could also use it to authenticate with biometrics, therefore allowing you to prove that you are indeed who you claim to be. We were able to issue 1 billion IDs in about 5 years. Aadhaar was used to ensure that all Indians get access to banking easily. Driven by government-backed programs like PMJDY, this has resulted in banking access to most households in the country. Between 2011 and 2017, about 500 million Indians have opened bank accounts. This journey would have taken us normally 50 years, but we've been able to accomplish it in only 6 years. What Aadhaar has done has also helped us create the base for foundational platforms, which we all collectively know as the India Stack. This India Stack has created a digital infrastructure for presence-less, paperless, and cashless service delivery. And it has done so by bringing together 5 elements. Number 1, eKYC, basically electronic know your customer, that has enabled easier, cheaper, faster KYCs. Second, eSign, basically enabling digital signatures. Then the Aadhaar payment systems bridge, basically Aadhaar payments bridge system, which essentially turns an Aadhaar number into a person's financial address and allows the government to send subsidies directly to the beneficiary's Aadhaar linked bank account. Also in the process, saving the government a lot of money. As per some estimates that I was reading, we have delivered 3 lakh crore in cash subsidies over the last financial year, which includes 1 lakh crores through the Aadhaar payments bridge system. Similarly, there has been an estimated savings of 2 lakh crores through the DBT schemes. The fourth element has been our celebrated digital payments platform, the UPI. UPI allows users to pay from their bank account to another bank account instantly and with a very low transaction cost. We are able to make payment transactions from a payment app. This may not necessarily be from our bank. And we are able to make these payments to any other bank, all instantly. UPI has rapidly gained traction. In the month of October alone, we did 4 billion transactions and we've transferred over 100 billion USD. Now, all this digitization of financial services industry has created data trails for users. We have identity information, financial data, and vast amounts of data coming from our mobile phones. There is a directional movement to allow people to have more control of their own data, bringing me to the fifth element, which is a consent-based data sharing paradigm. In many other countries, this data has been used to sell to us. But our vision in India is to see how we can allow this data to be used for our own benefit. How have we done that? The RBI has essentially allowed users to have control on their own data, which is sitting in their banks, could also be sitting in other regulated entities, and share it through the account aggregator ecosystem. This allows individuals to use their data for their benefit. For example, getting a loan or personal finance management. The personal data protection bill will further enhance this control. So now with UPI on one end and the account aggregator ecosystem on the other end, we can allow a user to manage payments and manage account data through third-party applications. All of this then forms the core of open banking access, which will allow the creation of newer services and embedded finance solutions for the Indian consumer. The combined effects of these platforms have been to provide tremendous benefits and convenience to users. Users can now access financial services from anywhere and go about their daily lives without the burden of having to visit these financial institutions. And on the other hand, for financial services industry, these platforms have reduced the cost of acquiring, of onboarding, of servicing customers while easing compliance with KYC regulations. All of these cost reductions have expanded the markets and they've made it more feasible to service customers with low ticket sizes, customers that live far away from physical locations. As Rushina had outlined in her talk, positive stewardship by the regulator is also a key success determinant for thriving fintech ecosystems. Our regulatory authorities, including the RBI, the SEBI, IRDA, have all adopted a consultative approach and have been proactively foreseeing the need for adequate regulations, especially in areas concerning public funds, consumer welfare, such as P2P lending, digital lending, alternative currencies. And similar to the BNM in Malaysia issuing the Financial Technology Regulatory Sandbox Framework, RBI, SEBI, and IRDA have all come out with their own regulatory sandbox guidelines to enable financial institutions to innovate and to grow in a safe and controlled environment. At CIECO, we play the role of an ecosystem catalyst. We've set up the Bharat Inclusion Initiative and the Financial Inclusion Lab to accelerate the journeys of inclusive fintechs in India. And therefore, the Inclusive Fintech and the FICRA Accelerator initiatives by MDEC in Malaysia also deeply resonated with me. And we now see how a variety of common factors have come together for both the nations that have given rise to thriving fintech ecosystems, increasing digital penetration, young and connected populations, progressive governments, regulatory forbearance, presence of ecosystem catalysts, passionate entrepreneurs, and deep-pocketed investors. But what has been unique about the India story is the creation of this population scale public digital infrastructure that has truly unleashed financial innovation and solutioning at scale, thereby allowing India to emerge as one of the most exciting, the most fertile digital financial ecosystems today. Malaysia's success in the development of Islamic finance, the role that Islamic finance has played in financial inclusion, and the lessons therein will be useful for policymakers and regulators in other Islamic finance jurisdictions around the world. Similarly, in solving for our own unique characteristics and our own unique challenges, the public open source platforms that we have built are also resonating globally. We are openly sharing our insights and our learnings from building the world's largest platforms for ID, for digital payments with countries around the world that can benefit from our experience. As we look ahead, we're becoming more and more digitally connected, more and more digitally enabled, and therefore there will be more and more data. But this will also come with more fiduciary duty around security, around privacy, around control. This data must be protected. Users' privacy must not be harmed, and users must be allowed to have finer grained control on how their data can be used. This will open up a lot of opportunities for innovators and regulators around the world to collaborate on building relevant solutions, on exploring synergies and sharing experiences. That concludes my talk. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to IFI again for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Priyanka. And thank you, Ruslina, again. I think this was an extremely important and a very insightful discussion. And I would also like to thank all the delegates who have logged in for this session so early in the morning. And we will now break for our next session, which is at 12:40. Digital transformation of financial institutions catering to informal sector, responding and preparing for changing customer needs. So I would request everyone to log in again at 12:40 for this session. And thank you, Priyanka and Ruslana, again.